The bus rumbled along, its brakes sighing as it came to a stop at another junction in downtown Liverpool. Inside, passengers shifted, preparing to get off. But before the doors could hiss open, a sudden sound cut through the air, a sharp bark, insistent and full of urgency. All eyes turned towards the source, a small Jack Russell Terrier standing on its hind legs and jumping excitedly beside the bus, its eyes fixed on the passengers inside. Driver Dave Wilson, a seasoned veteran of the Liverpool bus routes, paused, his finger hovering above the button to close the doors. In his 15 years of driving, he'd encountered all kinds of situations, from rowdy football fans to the occasional sleeping passenger, but nothing had ever prepared him for this. The dog barked again, the sound echoing in the sudden silence. It wasn't just a friendly hello or a passing whim. It was clear that the dog wanted something from them. Dave's gaze met the dog's, and something in the animal's desperate eyes tugged at his heartstrings. The passengers began to stir, whispering and glancing at the dog. Some started to get annoyed. "What's going on? Let us out," a man called from the back, his irritation evident. Dave felt a sense of responsibility, not just for his passengers, but for the dog too. He couldn't just leave it out there, ignored and confused. "Ladies and gentlemen, I need to check on something," he announced, hoping for their understanding. "Please bear with me." A chorus of groans rippled through the bus, but Dave ignored it. He opened the door and stepped out onto the pavement. Biscuit, as Dave had taken to calling him, immediately ran toward him, circled his legs once, then darted down the street, glancing back to make sure Dave followed. "Where are we going, little one?" Dave muttered under his breath as he jogged after the dog. Biscuit led him down the street, past familiar landmarks like the chip shop and the newsagent, until they reached a narrow alleyway tucked between buildings. There, behind a stack of cardboard boxes, lay a sight that made Dave's heart skip a beat. An elderly woman lay unconscious on the cold concrete, face down. "Oh, bloody hell," he breathed, rushing to her side. Biscuit had stopped at the entrance of the alley, whining softly, as if sensing the gravity of the situation. Dave checked for a pulse, his fingers hovering over the woman's neck. He felt for a heartbeat, his face creasing with concern. The dog whined again, nudging the woman's hand with its nose, as if urging him to do something. Dave looked at the growing crowd of onlookers and shouted, "Someone call an ambulance." "Please, she's unconscious." A young woman in a Liverpool FC jersey quickly dialed 999, her voice sharp and urgent. Dave turned back to the woman on the ground. She was still breathing, but faintly. Time seemed to slow down. In those few moments, Dave noticed a medical alert bracelet on the woman's wrist. It read Margaret Thompson, diabetes. Suddenly, everything clicked into place. He remembered his first aid training from the month before, specifically the session on diabetic emergencies, low blood sugar, and the importance of acting fast. "Mrs. Thompson, are you diabetic?" He called out, hoping she could hear him. Her eyes flickered open, dazed and unfocused. "Do you need sugar?" More weakly, she nodded. "Does anyone have any sweets or a sugary drink?" Dave called to the crowd. A teenager with blue hair pushed forward, holding out a can of Earn Brew, a Scottish soft drink known for its high sugar content. "Here, you can have this," the teenager said, handing it to Dave. Dave took the can, popped the tab, and helped Margaret sip the drink. As the minutes ticked by, the sound of the approaching ambulance grew louder. Soon, paramedics were kneeling beside Margaret, checking her vital signs and administering first aid. "Good thing you found her when you did," one of the paramedics said to Dave later, his tone serious. "Another half hour, and..." He didn't need to finish the sentence. Dave understood the gravity of the situation. Margaret was carefully lifted onto a stretcher, her eyes searching for Biscuit. A faint smile touched her lips as she saw the dog. "My hero," she whispered, reaching out to stroke him. The paramedic holding the stretcher gently helped her. "You're amazing, Biscuit," he said, scratching the dog behind the ears. As the ambulance sped away, Dave stood in the alley with Biscuit in his arms, feeling a mix of emotions. He'd been scared, confused, but mostly amazed by the dog's intelligence and loyalty. The weight of what had happened began to settle over him. He had followed a dog into a dark alley, and in doing so had saved a life. The passengers who had grumbled earlier now stood around him, faces etched with admiration. "That dog brought you to her, mate," one of them said, extending a hand to shake Dave's. "Cheers, Biscuit," Dave heard another say, chuckling. Dave looked down at the dog in his arms, a new appreciation dawning on him. He had always considered himself a cat person, preferring their independent nature to what he saw as a dog's excessive need for attention. But seeing the bond between Margaret and Biscuit, the depth of their connection and how it had saved her life, changed something in him. "I never thought I'd say this," he said, looking at the cheering crowd, "but can a dog become man's best friend?" The people around him laughed, their voices echoing in the alley. In that moment, surrounded by people he didn't know, holding a dog he had just met, Dave felt a sense of community, of shared humanity. They had all come together because of a dog, because of loyalty, bravery, and the unwavering bond between a woman and her dog. That day, Dave Wilson became known as the bus driver who saved Margaret Thompson's life. And as for Biscuit, he got more treats than he could have ever imagined, along with a hero's welcome at home. The incident became a local legend, a story that was retold over cups of tea and pints of beer, a reminder that sometimes the smallest creatures can have the biggest hearts. As for Dave, he never forgot the lesson he learned in that alley, that sometimes following your instincts and a dog into a dark alley can lead you to the brightest of places.